what is the click-through rate on an ad, and what is that conversion rate? And as if media costs are expensive for us because there's high competition, or because Facebook's algorithm is giving you a super high CPM, how do we lower it, right? That's one lever. Or what I like to focus on is how do we increase click-through rate? So through testing, whether it's audience or creative can be video, it can be static, it can be the
Welcome to 7 to 8, our special series on 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs. In this special series, I interview $1 million, some $10 million, and even some $1 million business owners who uncovered their twists and turns in their entrepreneurial adventure in order to help you to avoid the potholes and stick to the fast track. Welcome now to center stage, our next special guest. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedlick, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Hemant. Hemant, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Michelle, thank you for having me. Super excited to talk to you and, hopefully provide some valuable information to your listeners.
I know you will. So give them 5,000-foot view of who you are and what you love to do.
Sure. So my name's Hemant Varshney. I'm the founder and CEO of DigiCom. We are a growth marketing agency, and we work with a lot of e-commerce and direct-to-consumer brands. Generally speaking, a lot of these brands are doing $2 to $5 million, like starting out in that range. And our goal is to scale them to, multi-million dollars. So 10, 15, $20 million plus.
Nice. So I have to ask, how do you start at 2 million?
Well, so the one thing I do want to call out is a lot of the partners we're working with, it's that they are venture backed. So they've raised, like they've done their Series A. Yep.
Totally get it. Okay, so speaking of that, so you're with e-commerce, direct to market. What does that mean kind of to the rest of the world? Does that mean that there are Amazon sellers? Does that mean that they just have a concept that they're bringing to the public? What does it mean?
Sure. So if you're thinking something like e-com D2C, you're thinking of HelloFresh, you're thinking of a BarkBox, you're thinking of like Lululemon, like online store, not their retail. So we're thinking of brands that are selling predominantly online.
Got it. So like the socks guys, where you get different pairs of socks every month, or the cigar guys where you get a different box of cigars, and the pet box is obviously the pet store one. Awesome. So when you're initially working with them, what are you looking for particularly in their business or in their brand? What do they need to have kind of set up before you're willing to work with them?
Sure. So it's what we do is we're running growth programs. So we're running paid ads on Facebook, on Google, on TikTok, on Twitter. So it's important for our clients to have a starting budget somewhere around $20K a month where they can spend those advertising dollars on media. Why it's important? It's just, it's breaking it down to math. So when I say that, I mean, say we're running one campaign, it's going to 2 different landing pages and 2 different audience. So that's 4 variations. Plus, each campaign is running 5 ads. For us to get statistically significant data to improve performance, we need to be able to spend, up to a budgeted amount so that we can learn and then we can optimize and iterate. If the budgets are too low, the challenge is you don't learn fast enough. Or if like the client's products, their price points are like really high, let's say a mattress company, you're selling mattresses, $1,000, $2,000, and your target acquisition cost is like $250, let's say. We can't dissect all of the things that are working and not working, because you might have 3 transactions on ad 1, 2 transactions on ad 2, like 0 transaction on ad 3, but it only spent $50. So for us to learn, especially in the first month of advertising, our goal isn't to go out and spend the money just to spend it. It's we're investing these dollars to learn, to see what's converting, what's not, what is our hypothesis, and then how do we grow from there? That's usually the next question for a lot of the partners we work with. So what we'll eventually do is after month one, we have a ton of data. Then we start to optimize. So is desktop working better than mobile? Desktop is. Our conversion rates are higher. CPAs are coming in at 125, which is $125 below that 250 target. So then, but mobile's coming in at $500. Why is that happening? What the first step we can take is pause down mobile for right now, take those dollars, put it into desktop because that's where the revenue is. And then look at the website or look at the consumer journey on mobile. Is the website not optimized for mobile? There are all these like responsive design platforms out there, but that doesn't truly mean you're optimized. We have to design and fix and test and iterate. So yeah,
awesome. So we're going to come back to the kind of the methodology and the means behind the madness, if you will, because I think there's a lot of brilliance there. And I've always explained to my clients that we go through this kind of 4 phases of business. One is your initial, I'm just going to put stuff up against walls, see what sticks. Then we get into a growth phase where we start to hone in on the things that are profitable, get rid of the things that aren't. And then when we get into that scaling thing, it really is just a matter of throwing money at it and figuring that out, which is where I'm positioning you. And then once you've got that up to a certain build, then you can potentially sell it out to e-commerce, like the big boys. So I want to back up the bus for a little bit before we dive into how you do what you do. How did you get into all of this? How did you get into digital marketing as a thing?
So I like to say I graduated from YouTube University. I watched a bunch of videos about like 15 years ago. YouTube, built a site, started driving leads off of Google, and then got really interested in marketing because there's a lot of data and science, and then there's also the creative components, and I guess the rest is kind of history.
I love it. Well, and I think it's fascinating too that guys like you that are really into that, and I say guys in the sense of everybody that's into that, is you guys play with the numbers like you're playing video games. Like you get so jazzed and so excited looking at the numbers, analyzing them, looking out what the variables are, and moving from there. That to me, it's a lot of fun. There's a science behind it. A lot of people don't understand that and think that it's just, oh yeah, they're just asking for a lot of money and hoping that the problems go away. And that's not really the case, which is what you were alluding to earlier. So let's kind of look at that a little bit more, because I know that there's a lot of nuances within Google, especially within paid ads, that they want to see things work. They have trial periods. A lot of people go, you need really 6 months to be able to get Google ads up and running. What to you is kind of the art and science behind that theory?
Sure. So I think the timeline is different by, client and what the resources of the clients are. But if I wanted to break it down in like the simplest form, we're gonna talk about funnel metrics. So what is the cost to buy media? What is the click-through rate on an ad? And what is that conversion rate? And as if media costs are expensive for us because there's high competition, or because Facebook's algorithm is giving you a super high CPM, how do we lower it, right? That's one lever. Or what I like to focus on is how do we increase click-through rate? So through testing, whether it's audience or creative can be video, it can be static, it can be the verbiage that's used in the ad, and then subsequently the landing page. What pages in your site convert? And if you're not converting, why not? Like, are people getting to your add to cart page, seeing that shipping prices are so variable and just dropping off? So breaking down, if we're thinking about it from a funnel metric perspective, you can always isolate, this is the part of the funnel I need to work on, improve that, and then look at the rest of the funnel, and then go to the next part and improve that. And over time, you have this strategy to get to CPA, and then to get to goal, and then to beat the goal.
Nice. So when you're working with those, I know when you're analyzing the numbers, it can seem clear this ad's working, that one's not. But oftentimes there's kind of an art and science to it too, an art to the science, sorry. And when you're looking at ads, what kind of things do you tend to look for at first? Or let's go with glaring errors. Like when you look at them and you're like, hey, no, we're not putting that up. What are some of those things? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck on the idea that, hey, we're going to do this. And it's like, no, actually you're not. What are some of those?
So, I mean, you could have like typos or something that just doesn't align with the brand. Like those are errors that we should try to avoid. But sometimes there are accidents in the lab. Sometimes you will run a specific colorway which is not aligned with the brand, or a few years ago UGC started breaking out. And a lot of brands were like, well, we don't want pictures of our products on an iPhone. And then, through data, we were able to go back to a lot of these partners and say, hey, all of these user-generated content images that we're using or videos we're using have a 25% lower than cost per acquisition than your branded ads. And so we saw this big shift happen, right? And it's important to continue testing the markets are always changing, new technologies coming out, there are macro factors at play. It's always important to continue testing, which is why I like to recommend a 15 to 20% of your budget should go towards testing. So you can get ahead of that curve before something negatively impacts the business.
Cool. So what do you mean by testing? How would that work?
Sure. So there, a number of different components you can test in a campaign, but just breaking it down super high level, your ads, your creatives, have we run static? Are we running video? Does value prop messaging work better than intrigue messaging? Have we even broken that data down? Looking at it, doubling down on the things that are working. Are different audience segments. So on the Facebook platform, you have interest targeting, you have demo targeting, you have run of network, which is broad targeting, allowing the algorithm to find the right people for you. So those are smaller optimization tests. Other tests you can run is, hey, we designed this new landing page. It's a different design, but does it convert better? If our goal is 1.5% conversion rate, the old landing page is doing a 1.25%. Does this get us there? Or, maybe it gets us to 2%. That might be a larger test. And then even platforms, right? Like a lot of advertisers are on Meta and on Google. They want to get into YouTube or CTV or get into Twitter or TikTok. Those would be larger tests, because you're essentially getting on a new platform and then retesting all of the things, because there might be certain things that work on one platform that translates a little bit to the other platform, but might not entirely.
Got it. So many questions. so say you're taking, just because I'm terrible with numbers and I can't imagine most of us aren't. So say you have a $10,000 a month budget, just for the ease of numbers. So you're saying take 1,500 of that and put it towards something that's speculative, or
Yep.
as on the side. So you're running your A/B testing on your things. You're going, hey, this is going to work, but let's take this other and see what it does on TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are a lot of benefits, because if there are market changes that are happening and, and your test is because of these market changes, well, then did we follow that trend line, and are we at or below CPA goal? Because what we might find is that new test outperforms what our champions are. And that over time allows us to scale and grow.
Nice. Have you noticed anything in particular working better on different platforms? Like information products tend to work better on YouTube, or, fun products tend to work better on TikTok, or anything like that?
I think this is a good question. It's also a tough one, because every client is different. Mm-hmm. And the levers you have with every client is also different. What's important is to test the content itself right now, especially in 2023, because as things start to get more and more automated, the content and the creative that's out there is more important than ever.
Absolutely. So how do you feel about the AI that's coming down as far as content goes?
Sure. So in terms of like ChatGPT allowing you to create like new headlines, new copy, I think for a lot of marketers that are quant focused, it might be very helpful to get that copy and get things into testing. We at DigiCom, we have our own content team, so we can design assets. We have copywriters to help us with that. I say that because I'm very much quant focused, but I know how to test through things, and we know how to look at the idea that's coming from the creative team, and then have a hypothesis about it and put it into market. But yeah, I mean, AI is here. There's a lot of positive ways to leverage it, and it's worth giving it a shot.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, we have come to the conclusion that it's fun to play with at this point, but whatever you do, don't depend on it quite yet.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. So what would you say is your favorite part of your business right now?
My favorite part, it's continuously problem solving. So there's, the business, because we're an agency, it's always a seesaw, right? If we onboard new business and we're growing, well, then I need to find the right talent to resource against the new business and also hire up. And then if there's any sort of market slowdown, well, now we hired all these hired up. If there's a drop in revenue, well, how do we keep the team intact? And usually my go-to is, well, we'll go out and sign more business. So yeah, it's always this seesaw and balance, but then inside the business, it's what do our clients need? What makes the team happy? So it's constantly solving this puzzle or multiple puzzles that go on throughout the day. And that's my favorite part.
Nice. Well, we are going to go into in-depth as to what you think it took you to get to $1 million in revenue and what it takes to get your clients there. Well, they're already there, but kind of the aspects of business and where an entrepreneur has to be thinking about in order to get there. But in the meanwhile, I know that there are people listening to this right now that are going to want more from you. How would they start their journey with you?
Sure. You can contact me at hemant@digicom.io or just visit our website, digicom.io, and just send us a note or an email, and I'd love to chat.
Nice. We will definitely have your links in the show notes so people can just scroll down and do that. So let's kind of back up the bus again. At what point did you make your first million in business?
First million in business was this year.
Cool. And yeah, what did it take for you to get there?
A lot of focus. There's a lot of distractions that happen. You want to focus on one part or the other part, but I think one thing that I focused on is, hey, I'm good at X, so I'm going to do X to the best of my ability and train my team up so they can do X. And then if there's something like the creative component, we were using Canva and stuff to develop our own creatives like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. We hired our own creative team where, there's resources that at first it seemed like an investment, but that allowed us to grow because then we could go back to our clients and say, we can do your creative, we can do your content, we can build your site, we can run your influencer program, because we learned how to do it, but then hired the experts to help us manage these programs. And that allowed us to scale over time. I think as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things that you're going to be good at, but if it's one thing that I would say, it's understanding what your strengths are and then finding the right team members to counterbalance you that are stronger at the things you're not super great at.
Nice. Love that. So when you were kind of building your business, was it always your intention to kind of make $1 million, or what was your end goal?
Sure.
Or what was goal?
So yeah, I would in 2022 we managed 10 million in media.
Nice.
And the goal right now is to manage 100 million in media, and I would like to do that in the next 3 years. And there are different things that will get us there, but one thing I'm focusing on right now is that whole content creation, portion that we've been talking about. So the team and I were building our own proprietary platform where marketers can, and these platforms exist. I'm not saying that they don't exist. It's just that they're siloed. But where marketers can go find various types of content creators to promote their brand or, talk or get the messaging out there.
Nice. Love it. So how important would you say is branding and kind of the artistic side of business when it comes to $1 million business versus just getting, done as the new perfect?
Super, super important. It's kind of funny because last night I was talking to a buddy of mine and we are talking about ketchup, and he's like, do you know any other brand but Heinz ketchup? And I was just like, no. And he's like, how do you think that happened? And I was like, well, they're in every supermarket. If you go to any restaurant, they're in every restaurant. If you want a little packet of sauce, it's Heinz ketchup. And so, I couldn't think of anything else. And branding is so unbelievably important. And that's something I think I might have taken for granted. I definitely took for granted like earlier on. But ensuring that when someone sees your colorway or your logo, they know who you are and what stands behind that brand. It is important because you never know, down the road someone might be thinking, hey, I need X, Y, and Z food box. Oh, HelloFresh. I need X, Y, and Z makeup, Sephora, right? So it's important to build a brand, have your consistent messaging, be true to it, and then continue, advertising and running your campaigns around what your brand stands for.
I love that. And let's talk about the campaigns themselves, because I know with our clientele, and we're not dealing with the same clientele at all. So talk to me about your clientele, but that when it comes to the messaging and honing in on the client's ideal journey and what's going on for them and letting go of kind of all of the rest of the stuff, how important is that still in your creatives, in your endeavors?
It's important, but so we do something called hook testing. Yep. Where we will, we'll test different styles of messaging. So again, going back to, we're testing value props versus intrigue, and we're seeing what messaging drives more conversions, and is it at or below goal? And that allows us over time to iterate and build, more content around. So if we're seeing value prop messaging work, then what specific value props did we call out that people are paying attention to? And I guess why I call out this example is because a brand might be like, this is our messaging. But in digital, and when we're trying to drive conversion, that brand messaging might not always hold true because it might not be clear to the end consumer. So we like to take the higher arching brand messaging and then break it down into, how do we break it into these segments, and then test how those segments perform for conversion.
Nice. I love that. Well, and I had been having the same conversation about email headlines and subject lines because a lot of the trend was going to intrigue. And I'm like, it depends on your audience. If they have time to read that, they'll read it. But if they don't have time to read it, they're not going to read it at all. They're going to avoid it 100% because it doesn't tell them what it is and is this use of my valuable use of my 5 minutes that I have. So I find it intriguing, the same things happening online with those. Have you noticed any difference between, say, social media and Google ads? And I perceive Google ads not to be social.
Yeah. So like Google ads usually it'll fall under like paid search. Mm-hmm. So Google ads, there's a couple things, right? It's your character counts are constrained. You are not typically sharing images. So you have to be kind of to the point, provide enough information. But the kind of attribute that helps Google ads is intent. When you're Google searching something, doctor near me, X, Y, and Z food restaurant near me, you have intent to go make that purchase. So if you can align your ad with the keyword that you're targeting, and ensure you're providing, the respective information that correlates to that keyword, and or use the keyword in your ad, you'll likely have a higher click-through rate. And, from what we've learned, it helps conversion rates.
Love it. Well, and this is probably one of the most different 7 to 8 episodes that I've done, because I think most people are intrigued by the ad concept and a lot of them are looking for, well, it's kind of funny to me. They'll start a business and they'll go, okay, let's do Google ads. And I'm like, well, we want to figure out your messaging first. This is probably going to be a problem. So, in your experience, kind of working with the 2 millions and the up, what do you think the millions or the kind of 0 to 1 million should be doing in order to position themselves to be a perfect client for you?
Sure. I think this is also another very good question. A lot of the times, we'll have a partner come to us that running, say, just Facebook or just Google, and they've grown to 1 million, and it's like, hey, how do we get to 2 and 3 million? Well, it's important for you to ensure that your organic socials are set up. If you have YouTube and you're a service business or a SaaS platform, you're on your YouTube channels, you might not be getting a lot of hits right away, but you're informing your user base of, hey, this is how to use our product, or this is what's going on. You should have email set up, abandoned cart set up, SMS. Like, these offline channels drive conversion volume. Maybe not on day 1, but in like month 12, they'll be generating high ROI transactions for you. Whereas Facebook, it's $1 in, you hope to get $2 out. And if you're looking at the world of attribution, that $1 in might get you $1.50 out, but build your CRM, where at the end of the year, net, you come out way on top. And it's all connected.
Nice. Love that. So give us an example of one of your Cinderella stories of one of your clients.
Sure. I'm very fortunate to say we have a few,
Nice.
but I think most recently we started working with and I'm going to use very arbitrary numbers because but like the scale is that much. So we had a client from England. They're in the health and wellness space, and the health space. They have a specific product that's FDA approved. And they came to us looking to scale on Facebook because they weren't, and Google, but ultimately they weren't able to get Facebook up and running. And what we were able to do is go from, say, a 10K budget to like a 220K budget, and we were only able to scale because we were hitting their goals in about 6 months. And that's a success story because we run advertising in a unique way, because we're running direct to site ads, we're running influencer ads, we're running content like article based ads, and we're doing this across a number of different channels. And so figuring out what works for them, we figured that out, and then we started to dial it up, and we've seen pretty solid performance. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. So what would you say are some of your pet peeves around your industry? What does it drive you nuts that your competitors do?
Competitors. I mean, if something a competitor is doing drives us nuts, it should be like, we should be understanding what they're doing and why they're doing it. And, we should probably, like, if it's driving us nuts, we're probably not doing our job. So,
so you have no pet peeves about your industry?
I would say, I would say it's important for anybody that's working with an agency that's working around the clock for you, to understand that, sometimes the people on the other side of the phone, the Zoom call, whatever it is, they're people too. And that's just something it's important. And it's like I'm very much try to support my team in every way. So I want to ensure that my team is happy, because if they're happy, they can do good work for our partners. So just I would say maybe that it's not even a pet peeve. It's just, just be cognizant that it is another person.
Nice. Just be nice to your tech. Well, and I love that the only reason you get, on edge about your competition is because they're getting space that you want to have. Hey, we got to find that out. That's awesome. Love it. Love it. So what do you think some of the stumbling blocks that somebody might be having right now and they're thinking, oh, Hemant, I need you so badly in my business?
If your Facebook ads used to work and they stop working, or your Google ads used to work and they stop working, especially after iOS, I think that I call this the traffic conundrum. It's just my own coin term of it, but basically what we saw happen, pre-iOS, is advertisers would spend a ton of money, and I'm going to use an arbitrary example here. Advertiser spends $100 a day on Facebook. In Facebook, you're seeing 10 conversions a day, and that's all the conversions you're getting, right? So 10 a day, it's all coming from Facebook. Your CPAs are $10. iOS happens, and all of a sudden, you, instead of seeing 10 conversions a day in Facebook, you're only seeing 5 a day. So your CPAs went from $10 to $20. And advertisers or brands, especially a lot of in-house marketers, were like, oh man, our CPAs are up. We're not doing good. I have to pull back from here immediately. And why I call it the traffic conundrum is because a lot of brands pulled back so much marketing dollars from Facebook, when in reality, if you looked at the back end, what Shopify is saying or what Google Analytics is saying, you were still driving those 9 to 10 conversions a day. The issue that occurred is Apple just stopped allowing you to see that those conversions were coming in. It's not that they weren't happening, they were happening. So it's just you couldn't see it. So I think if there are, brands out there that have run into this challenge or seen a pretty big slowdown, we're happy to run a free audit. Come back to you with a lot of different insights and kind of just break down, hey, this is how we can get back to where we were performing, or help you perform in today's market. But a big part of that is also looking at your total business. So not just looking at what Facebook says, but looking at what your total media CAC is, how many, conversions you're driving, what your true revenue is.
I love it. So I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know that you were especially kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I want to say I was pretty young, like 18 or 19. And the reason why I say that is because back then, my buddy Stavro, him and I tried to build this app called Tutor Me, and it was online tutoring. And, it was several years ago, pre-pandemic, and we built this cool app. We licensed a technology called Group Board, and we had 300 tutors sign up, onboarded all of them, and then tried to go out and sell. And it was like, why do I want to learn from someone on a screen, which is the norm today, right?
Yeah.
But really, I think, that was the first endeavor. But I would say I kind of learned that I wanted to be an entrepreneur because my father was an entrepreneur. And, he just taught me a lot of different things in business, and a lot of our relationship is business. It's we talk about business and what's going on, and it's fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, maybe your timing is right to go and dig up that dusty programming relaunch. That's awesome. Hey, you've been absolutely fabulous. Any last words for our peeps?
Keep trying, test new ideas, spend a little bit of your time learning, and write what your hypothesis is and see how you compare to it. And over time, you'll learn things, and that compounds, and you'll get there.
Love it. Thank you so much for your time. I know how valuable it is, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedlick. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to share with your fellow entrepreneurs. We love helping you grow. Thank you for listening to 7 to 8. If you're interested in upping your speaking game, be sure to connect with our guests with the links in the show notes, and connect with me to see how we can help you get your tech done for you. and help your speaking dreams come true.